how long was it before, without getting kind of into the incident, but how long was it before you and JBL kind of were able to patch things up and move forward?
One night stand happened, and then uh, I start writing blogs and you know rallying against what happened to me, and
Mm.
making some noise, and whatever I was doing was creating buzz, and WWE is all about buzz. And Dreamer called me and said, "Hey, want to bring you into." And here's the thing, and it's God's honest truth. Nova had pitched to me, said to me, the afternoon of when I stand that they were thinking Stevie was going to go from Velocity to SmackDown, and they were thinking about having the BWO come back as like a thing because SmackDown colors are blue and white, BWO is blue and white, this, that, and other thing. I was like, hey, man, I'm available. He's like, yeah. No, it was like, yeah. I said, I don't think Meanie would turn it down. I was like, all right. But then the one night stand thing happened. I started writing the blogs. I started, saying, hey, this is screwed up. This is fucked up. And then Dreamer calls, hey, we want to bring you out to Sacramento. This has nothing to do with the JBL thing. Uh, bring back the BWO for a little bit. Uh, all right. So I go back. They fly me out to Sacramento. Johnny Ace pulls me aside. He goes, yeah, tonight you're working JBL. I was like, what? I was like, Dreamer. It just didn't matter to me. He's like, you're going to work. Well, it did matter at the time. In
Mm.
hindsight, you know, everybody's in, everything looks clearer with 2020 hindsight. But he goes,
Mm.
yeah, you're wrestling John tonight. You're going to hit the moonsault. You're winning the match. One, two. I was like, does John know this? So, oh yeah, he loves it. This, that, and the other thing. And I'm standing there. I'm walking around like, what have I got myself into? And Triple H comes up to me and goes, hey man, you all right? You look a little worried. I was like, yeah. I was brought back, thinking it's going to be with the BWO, and you got me working with JBL, and you know what happened to us. I feel like I'm kind of being set up here. He went, wait 1 minute. Walked away, came back like 2 or 3 minutes later. He goes, follow me. So I followed Triple H into Vince's office. And Vince is sitting there eating a steak. Meanie, I'll be right with you. And he's watching the early versions of Hogan Knows Best on some monitor, whatever. Meanie, go have a seat on my couch. And I go and sit on the couch, and what the fuck, man, this is crazy. And he had to, he comes in, and Triple H goes, Meanie's got some trepidation or whatever, some. I explained, hey, I gave him the cliff notes of everything that happened. He goes, well, I guarantee you, Meanie, if John does anything in that match, he will be fired. Just like, all right, take him at his word, and then I'm standing there, and then JBL comes up to me and goes, you want to have a talk? I was like, absolutely, let's go have this talk. And if you've ever been to TV or if you watch any behind the scenes thing from WWE, there's signage everywhere. There's catering, there's seamstress, there's Vince's office, there's this, that, and the other thing. And we're walking into a part of the building where I'm seeing less and less signage. I'm just like, man, if we walk into a room and there's plastic on the floor, I'm running. Like if this is like a mob hit, I'm out of here, right? I grew up in Atlantic City. I know what the mob does. Uh, so I go stand in the middle of the room. He turned around, locked the door, and turned around. I was like, we could fight or we can make money. I was like, brother, I never wanted to fight you in the first place. And that's the God's honest truth. I was a fan of Justin Hawk Bradshaw. I was a
Mm.
fan of Bradshaw. I was a big fan of Stan Hansen growing up, and he reminded me of,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Hansen type ass kicker, kind of character. And I laid it out to him. I was like, hey man, it's all because, when I got fired in 2000, I was there from 98 to 2000. I said, I enjoyed my time I did an interview and I said, I enjoyed my time in WWE, but JBL was a bully. And just like anything, you hear the grapevine or the
Mm.
telephone game, tell one person, they tell another person. And I'm sure by time, whatever me saying JBL was a bully, by the time it got to JBL, it probably grew legs and became something totally different, right?
Mm,
And he had, the boys are the boys, and they're probably egging him on, just this, that, and the other thing. And I was like, hey, man, this is all I said. I said you're a bully, and this is what you did when I was here. And he was like, well, I don't remember any of that. And you take him at his word because those attitude era days were crazy days, hard traveling, days. So he takes somebody at their word and he apologized. We shook hands. And then we went about our way of how to turn a real crappy situation into a storyline, into pro wrestling. We ain't the first two guys to ever had a physical altercation in a match. Bill Watts knew if guys had heat in the locker room, we put them in a room and tell them to fight. And once
mm,
they got it out of their system, they went out and, had a great match. And not that that's like good, practice. But we weren't the first and we weren't the last.
no.
But we were able to get past the thing that happened to us. And, later on, he would go on to, he pitched me for the Royal Rumble in Philly. There was a Royal Rumble in Philly, and I had WWE hired me and Stevie to do ECW on Release Volume 3. I was like, man, that would be awesome. I'm doing this DVD for Philly, for ECW WWE. Royal Rumbles in Philly. What better way than, have a Philly surprise in Philly saying, well, here comes the host of ECW on Release Volume 3, the Blue Meanie, and all that. And I
Yeah.
started trying to do an online campaign. And JBL was pitching me to the office. It came down to, it was between me and Bubba Ray, and they chose Bubba Ray, which is awesome. I love Bubba Ray. So I popped for him. But that was JBL going, hey, yeah, sure.
Yeah. Well, that's respect, isn't it? That's two men working through their differences. There's been
Yeah.
misunderstanding. It hasn't been dealt with well, but you've moved past it, and through that you get professional respect. And I think there's a learning there for any
Misunderstanding, I'm
industry.
sure.
Yeah, I
A
mean,
misunderstanding, I'm sure people augmented along the way by
yeah,
me saying he was a bully. And by the time it got to his ears, oh, wait till you hear what Meanie said about you.
yeah, and the majority of workplace misunderstandings don't usually result in you getting bludgeoned, but it's 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 the same principle, isn't it? But you work through it. Mutual respect was there, and you've come out better for it the other side. But obviously not before Stevie pretty much killed him with a steel chair in that match.
Ooh. But, yeah, it was a little bit harsher than, somebody at work putting fish in the microwave, just, just, certain things you just don't do at your job.
It was
But yeah,
Smack.
that chair shot, and, Stevie felt so bad about it. We got to the gorilla position, and we waited for JBL to apologize to him.
Mm,
Nah, man, it was an accident. Things happened. And he told us to go online and just put over that it was a receipt, this, that, and the other thing.
yeah.
But yeah, it was a horrible situation that worked itself out.